What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty. It's probably going to be a little bit shorter, the wrap up this week for round 10, but let's get stuck in straight away. Having a look at the ladder now, we see North finally have had their first loss of the season, moved to 9-1. The Swans are in second place after that victory over North Melbourne, outright second place. And then we've got 5 teams between 3rd and 7th, all sitting on 7 and 3. Only separated by a little bit of percentage between a number of those teams, and then the Crows 6 and 4, the final team to be over their, win-loss ratio, more wins than losses, rounding out the 8. Then you've got 3 teams, Melbourne, Port Adelaide and Carlton on 5 and 5. Now, Carlton could push for the 8, we'll get into that in a bit more. But Collingwood, St Kilda, Richmond, 4 wins apiece. Fremantle all the way down at the bottom of the ladder, zip and 10. Let's have a look at Friday night's game. Sydney and North Melbourne. Swans winning by 26 points. Buddy kicked 3 goals for Lindsay Thomas, gee whiz. Well, let's get into that. So the Swans, good win over North Melbourne, who were pretty competitive for majority of the night, I thought. Obviously the biggest contentious talking point was a high tackle free kicks against Lindsay Thomas, and I think that the problem was that while there's a lot of players milk for free kicks, the real problem with this one was that he actually went back into the player instead of using the mentality of see ball, get ball, win the ball, and then kick for goal or handball to a teammate. He decided, let's run into a Sydney player to try and get a free kick, and I think that's where the problem was his mentality wasn't let's win the ball, but it was more so let's find a way to win a free kick. Joel Selwood, key example, but his still first priority is kick the ball forward kind of thing, find a hit a teammate, and Lindsay Thomas's mentality here was let's try and win a free, and I think that's where sort of the line is a bit blurred. But we'll see how that goes moving forward. But let's move on. I think North probably could lose a couple of games in a row here. They got a big game against Richmond this week. If they win this one, they're 100% top 8. In top 8, can push for top 4. So they've got to win a couple in the next few weeks. But big game Friday night. In Sydney, they're just ticking along nicely. They're my premiership favourites, apart from the Cats. At this stage, I think Geelong still got some areas to work on, but we'll get into them later. Moving on, Brisbane and the Hawks. The Lions drew within 8 points 15 seconds into the last quarter when Josh Schache put one through from about 15 out in front. And then it was pretty much all the Hawks. It was the Cyril show. He kicked 5. Big boy McAvoy kicked 3. Jordan Lewis had 42 touches in his 250th game. Very, very good player, Jordan Lewis. And in the end, Hawthorn, they won by 48 points. And, considering it was just an 8-point ball game very early on in that final quarter, they held off the Lions' charge, stormed home as they do, as Hawthorn does, and they will definitely be... Oh my god, I have the hiccups every time I try to record these videos. For sure, Hawthorn will be definitely in that finals contention. Top 4 as well, they'll be up there. Moving along to Melbourne and Port Adelaide. This one was up in Alice Springs. Melbourne have sold out 7 home games over the past number of years. They've lost all 7 of them, so that's probably something that they have to change here. They end up going down by 45 points to Port Adelaide, who were pretty good. They got so many goals over the back. I thought I was just watching replay after replay. So many balls just kicked into an open forward 50 that they'd have players running into. So definitely Melbourne got some defensive areas to work on if that's going to be how teams score their goals against them. I think that's sort of modern day footy as well. A lot of goals over the back. Hogan didn't kick very straight, kicked 3-4. Watts kicked a couple, Gawn kicked a couple. Nathan Jones is very good as always. And for the power, Charlie Dixon kicked 5. Wingard kicked 2 goals for. Gee whiz. Aaron Young kicked 2-2. I know it says Yund. Get off my case, okay? I have to do 20 of these. And then Robbie Gray had 28 touches, was very good as well for Port Adelaide. So Very good stuff from the Port. They're coming into some form. We'll see how they go over the next couple of weeks. as to whether or not they can do a bit better with their consistency. So we'll see how that goes. Next game, the Saints and the Dockers. St Kilda winning by 34 points in the end. I thought Fremantle were very good after quarter time. Probably in the second and third quarters, they really dominated the game. I think they could have maybe been a little bit further in front towards the latter end of the game. And it was sort of a game of three stories, really. It was the first quarter was all St Kilda. They were only up by, I think, 2 or 3 goals at the end of the first quarter. But the first 10 minutes, they were everywhere. They were all over Fremantle. It was 32-0 at one stage, and I thought, gee, this is going to be an extraordinarily big blowout. And then Ross Lyon gave this huge spray at quarter time. The Dockers got back into the contest, and then in the last quarter, the Saints ran over the top of them. And so it begs the question, like, what is the problem with Fremantle? Is it an effort thing? Is that the problem? Is it the coach? Is it the players? We don't know. They've lost 10 games in a row now, 11 games if you count last year in the final series. And they've really been on a downward spiral, so it's not looking good for them at this stage. Fremantle, St Kilda, they've got to win these games. They should be winning these games. They should be more of in like a Melbourne position, where they're 5-5, close to pushing for the 8. I think St Kilda might have that bigger leap next year. Otherwise, they could be into that stuck area, the no man's land. Jack Stephen also very good, 32 touches. So St Kilda had a good win. Let's hope they keep that up over the coming weeks. Now Saturday night Dreamtime at the GE, the Tigers 38-point winners over the Bombers. The Bombers were okay for majority of the contest. I think it was a pretty scrappy game from what I saw. I only really saw the last quarter on replay because I was just watching the scores on my phone. I was out and about. On Saturday night, Delidio kicked 3, Vickery kicked 3, Riort kicked 2 goals, 3. And for the Bombers, 2 goals each to Fantasia, Parrish and Danaher. Darcy Parrish, what a star he is. Every time he goes near the ball, you're just like, this kid has something about him. Goddard was good as well, 34 touches. Dustin Martin won the Yugong. Dustin Martin won the Best On Ground award in the Dreamtime game. 38 touches. I think he might have kicked a goal as well. But good stuff from the Tigers. 3 in a row. Let's keep it up. Speak North this week in Tassie on Friday night. Or it's in Hobart. Yep. Well, that's in Tassie. God. Moving on, after Coleman medal race at round 10, Buddy on top by 3 goals over Kennedy, and then another 3 goals over Tommy Lynch, who's on 34. Wade Jenkins Betts 27, Hogan Dixon 26, Gunston on 25, and then you can read along with the rest because they're probably more than 15 goals behind, so it's going to be difficult for them. Adelaide and the Giants, the Crows 22-point winners over the Greater Western Sydney Giants at home. I think this is really where the Giants are going to get tested, especially at very vocal away crowds. I think that they've got to learn to play in front of big crowds, especially at the Adelaide Oval. You play against 50,000 of your opposition crowd there. Walker kicked 5, Betts kicked 5, and then singles all around for the Crows after that. Toby Green kicked 3, Scully and Shield had a couple apiece. Atkins had 28 disposals for the Crows, and Canelio had 34. The Giants now, I think Adelaide just sort of jumped the gun here and got out to an early lead, and it's pretty much, in those scenarios, whoever had that early lead, one team will fight back, and then it'll go back to the sort of the margin that it was at an early stage in the game, and that's sort of where we ended up here. 22 points. The Giants fought back late, but it was not to be. I think that they're very good, the Greater Western Sydney Giants. I did have them to win this game, but Adelaide at home, they've got to win all their home games to make sure that they're in that finals contention. So, for sure, I think both of these sides will be playing finals. Who knows, they may even come across each other at some stage. That will be interesting. But the Crows very good to win that one. Now, let's take a look at Sunday. This was the favourite game for mine to watch. Carlton defeated Geelong to the tune of 19 points. 24 scoring shots to 25, so Carlton very accurate in front of goal, 66% accuracy. Geelong's under 50% with their accuracy rating there. Andreas Everett kicked 4, Dennis kicked 3, and Bryce Gibbs was 34 touches and 2 goals to his name. He was the best man on the ground. Now, I've been very critical of Bryce Gibbs over, a number of years, and I've always said, he doesn't win the hard ball, always gets it on the outside, is pretty crap in showing leadership. But have a look This season, I'm loving the work of Bryce Gibbs. I'm not loving the work. I'm admiring how bloody good he actually is. He is a superstar of a player. He's probably not in the elite category yet. He's probably like an A+. So he's very, very close to that elite category, if not elite. But he is a very, very good player. And they did it without Mark Murphy and Timmy Sumner. So they did very good there, their Blues. And, before the game started, I said, go Blues. My dad said, go Blues. We both hate Carlton more than anyone else. Well, as much as the next person. But we probably hate Geelong a little bit more, to be fair. But you just love the way Carlton go about it this year. They're so bloody good. Like, they're actually in the finals race here. If you have a look, they play Brisbane and the Gold Coast over the next couple of weeks, or Brisbane and someone over the next couple of weeks. They win those two games. They're 7-5, Carlton. And anything can happen from there. So, if Carlton make the finals this year, I will be amazed. It will be the biggest miracle thing ever. More miracle than Cruiser and Casbolt playing this week. But gee whiz. Bloody good win from them. Now let's go to the MCG later that day. The Pies and the Dogs. The Dogs winning by 21 points, running out the game strongly in that final quarter. But Collingwood really, won most of the day. So in the final quarter, the Dogs did run over the top of them with Darcy Moore, Taylor Adams, Alex Vasolo, and Alan Tuvey, all stuck on the bench with injuries too severe to not come back on the ground. So that's why probably the Bulldogs ran over the top. I think they got lucky in the end, the Bulldogs. They've been playing, pretty good football. They had not their best day, but they were still very much in the contest. It was under a kick at all of the changes of, all of the breaks, quarter time, half time, three-quarter time. It was only 5, 1 and 3 points. So they were always in the contest, and I think that just the legs at the end, I think Collingwood only used 50-something rotations or 60 rotations, and the Dogs used 80-something. So the legs, fresh legs, would have helped them run over the top of Collingwood there, but Collingwood are on the rise. They're better than a lot of people have. They're better than they've shown, really. I think over the last couple of weeks they've shown some good signs. So let's move on. The final game of the round: the West Coast Eagles and the Gold Coast Suns at Domain Stadium. Big win to the Eagles at home. They're always going to win big at home. We always think that. Kennedy kicked 5, Darling kicked 3, Leclerc kicked 3, and Tommy Lynch kicked 2. For the Gold Coast Suns, Ablett was special as usual, 32, but it was an average 32 day for him. And Rodney Eade said something at the end of the game which I thought was bemusing. He said the Suns can push for the 8 when they get players back after the bye. Unless they win 9 in a row, I don't think you're going to get there, Rodney. But they could probably knock off a couple of top 8 sides or sides trying to push into that top 8. So I think the Gold Coast, if they have a fully fit team, they're probably going to be much better than when they've only got 23 players to pick from and they've got a 22-player team. So I think that definitely they're struggling for players right now. They've had way more injuries than last year, and that's saying something. So we'll wait and see with the Gold Coast Suns. Plenty of injuries, but hopefully they get a number of players back and they're a lot more competitive. That is it for the wrap-up this week. I'm done. That's it. That's enough. I thought I was going to keep it short, but it was still long in the end. So I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a good day. Leave a big thumbs up, and I'll see you all later.